Para sa videong ito, ang tatalakayin natin ay ang The Revised Penal Code, Chapter 1, Felonies. Ito ay hatid sa inyo ni Attorney Bernardo M. Luceres. Simulan na po natin. Article 6, Consummated, Frustrated, and Attempted Felonies. Consummated felonies, as well as those which are frustrated and attempted, are punishable. A felony is consummated when all the elements necessary for its execution and accomplishment are present, and it is frustrated when the offender performs all the acts of execution which would produce the felony as a consequence, but which, nevertheless, do not produce it by reason of causes independent of the will of the perpetrator. There is an attempt when the offender commences the commission of a felony directly or overacts and does not perform all the acts of execution which should produce the felony by reason of some cause or accident other than his own spontaneous desistance. Article 7. When light felonies are punishable. Light felonies are punishable only when they have been consummated, with the exception of those committed against person or property. Number 8. Conspiracy and proposal to commit felony. Conspiracy and proposal to commit felony are punishable only in the cases in which the law specifically provides a penalty therefor. A conspiracy exists when two or more persons come to an agreement concerning the commission of a felony and decide to commit it. There is proposal when the person who has decided to commit a felony proposes its execution to some other person or persons. Let us examine a case. In an August 12, 2003 information, Viñas and Torres were charged with raping AAA as follows. That on or about the 11th day of November 2002, in the municipality of San Simon, province of Pampanga, Philippines, and within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, accused Leopoldo Viñas y Maniego with lewd design by means of force, threat, and intimidation, did then and there willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously have carnal knowledge with complaint AAA, 17 years old, a minor, by then and there inserting his penis in her vagina, which sexual assault was successfully perpetrated by said accused, with the cooperation and help of accused Maricel Torres y Gonzalez, who not only urged complainant to let her husband and accused Leopoldo Viñas y Maniego to have carnal knowledge with her, but also pinned down the feet and separated the legs of the complainant to enable accused Leopoldo Viñas y Maniego to consummate the sexual assault against complainant AAA against the will and without the consent of the latter, contrary to law. After hearing the court found accused Leopoldo Viñas y Maniego and Maricel Torres y Gonzalez guilty beyond reasonable doubt of the crime of simple rape through sexual intercourse, defined and penalized under Article 266A of the Revised Penal Code, the court sentenced both of them to suffer the penalty of reclusion perpetua and orders each of them to pay AAA the sum of 50,000 pesos as civil indemnity, 50,000 pesos as moral damages, and 30,000 pesos as exemplary damages, pursuant to prevailing jurisprudence, corresponding to said crime, with all such amounts to earn interest of 6% per annum from the finality of this decision until full payment. The Court of Appeals affirmed the trial court's decision. What is the issue? Issue whether or not conspiracy is provided in the commission of the crime of rape. What is the ruling? Ruling: Maricel Torres was liable alongside Leopoldo Viñas under the principle of conspiracy, pursuant to Article 8 of the Revised Penal Code. In People v. Spouses Saban, it is well settled that conspiracy exists when two or more persons come to an agreement concerning the commission of a crime and decide to commit it. In a case, this court found that the husband and wife were guilty of rape, stating thus, The rather unique feature about this case was that a couple, now appellants Vicente C. Villamala and Godiosia Villamala, were jointly prosecuted for the crime of rape allegedly perpetrated on the complainant Eustaquia Bentulan. While the two seated side by side were conversing, complainant heard Godiosa whistle, and immediately thereafter, her husband, appellant Vicente Villamala, entered the house. No sooner was he inside when Godiosa, who was at Eustaquia's left side, placed her left arm around her neck and pinned the latter to the floor, the left leg of appellant being thrust between Eustaquia's knees. In that situation, with Godiosa choking her neck, she was unable to extricate herself, being held fast by the bigger and taller Godiosa. Vicente in turn took advantage of the situation and through force removed complainant's black skirt and panties. Such torn garments, appellant Vicente Villamala threw aside, removed his short pants, and placed himself on top of Eustaquia. Thus, he was able to consummate the sexual act, with Godiosa continuing to hold and pin to the floor the victim's neck and left leg. The circumstances of the aforementioned case are on all fours with the present case. Normelita called Rolando, "Oli, maghubo ka na ng salawal," and pinned the complainant's hands on the floor. She was laughing and laughing while her husband was perpetrating the act. Lust is no respecter of time and place. In the instant case, AAA's testimony was clear, convincing and free from material contradiction, and clearly established both of the accused guilt beyond reasonable doubt, overcoming the constitutional presumption of innocence. AAA was explicit, unequivocal, and unswerving in accusing Leopoldo of inserting his penis inside her vagina, while Maricel was pulling her and sucking her nipples. Her account of how both accused conspired to accomplish said rape was straightforward, convincing and consistent on all material points, both in her Sinumpaang Salaysay, subscribed on November 13, 2002, and testimony in court. She positively identified and pointed to the accused as her rapists, dispelling any doubt as to their positive identification. Article 9. Grave felonies, less grave felonies, and light felonies. Grave felonies are those to which the law attaches the capital punishment or penalties which in any of their periods are afflictive in accordance with Article 25 of this Code. Less grave felonies are those which the law punishes with penalties which in their maximum period are correctional in accordance with the above-mentioned article. Light felonies are those infractions of law for the commission of which a penalty of arresto menor or a fine not exceeding 200 pesos or both is provided. Grave felonies have the corresponding penalties: death, capital punishment, reclusion perpetua, afflictive penalty, reclusion temporal, afflictive penalty, perpetual or temporary absolute disqualification, afflictive penalty, perpetual or temporary special disqualification, afflictive penalty, prisión mayor, afflictive penalty. Less grave felonies have the corresponding penalties: prisión correccional, correctional penalties, arresto mayor, correctional penalties, suspension, correctional penalties, destierro, correctional penalties. Light felonies have the corresponding penalties: arresto menor, light penalties, public censure, light penalties. Article 10. Offenses not subject to the provisions of this Code. Offenses which are or in the future may be punishable under special laws are not subject to the provisions of this Code. This Code shall be supplementary to such laws unless the latter should specially provide the contrary. Thank you for completing this course. Let's move on to the next.